I'm Jennifer Snassi. You're watching News 24 Live. On January 31st, top billing presenter Simba Mhere lost his life in a car accident. Today, his sister Valerie joins me on Skype and is going to express the family's disappointment because a lot of questions they have surrounding the death of their family member have not been answered. Valerie, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Now, Valerie, I want to go back to that day on January 31st. Can you take us through that day? How you found out that Simba had lost his life and the events that happened afterwards.
Yeah, sure. I was on a church camp over that weekend. So about past 6 in the morning, a friend of mine woke me up and said that I needed to go home. She had received a phone call from my mom saying I needed to come home. And so I left the campsite and she drove. We proceeded to drive to our house here in Northwold. When we got here, there was actually no one here. The house doors were open. My mom's room, I could see there was, clothes on the floor. So she obviously left the house in a hurry. So I called her from the house and asked her, no one's at home. Why am I at home? What's going on? And she couldn't speak at all. In fact, all that could come out of her mouth was Edenvale Hospital. And so she hung up the phone on me. She refused to tell me what was going on. And we just typed in Edenvale Hospital into our GPS, proceeded to drive to the hospital. But just as we left our complex gate, my mom called back and asked to speak to my friend who had been driving the car, driving us to the hospital. And I handed over the phone, and my mom just said through the phone to my friend, Simba's dead. Not thinking that I could hear, I heard through the receiving end that Simba was dead, and pretty much lost it from then on, and lost it. There was a 45-minute drive to Edenvale Hospital, just crying.
Now, 5 months later, how are you and your family coping with this?
I think it's difficult. Every day is difficult. We all wake up and we're very confused about what's happened. But I think as the months have gone by, it hasn't necessarily gotten easier, but we've learned to walk with the pain, because time doesn't necessarily make it better. It's just every day we get up and we carry on because we have to. But we have our weeks. I know last week for me and my mother was completely difficult. And then my dad will have his days. So it's been really tough not having him around. Because I think we were used to him being away. That's what he did for a living. He traveled. So we were used to him being away. But I think, 2, 3, 4 months in, it starts to kick in that he actually isn't coming back.
Now, your father was in the car with Simba on the day of the 31st. How is he coping?
Yeah. My father is definitely having a tough time. He doesn't cry a lot. He doesn't verbalize what he's feeling a lot, not like my mother and I, at least. But it comes out in, just different ways for him. Sometimes he'll just sit on the couch and just, he's trying to work everything out in his mind, because he's been in 6 major accidents in his life. And all of them he should have died, and this last one, Simba was the one who died and not him. And so I think he feels like it should have been him, and he's having a tough time with it. And it's just difficult to know because he doesn't really speak about it.
Now, I know you and your family have a lot of questions surrounding what's happening with the lack of case. Now, what kind of updates do you have?
Right. Till today, all we know is that there are no charges. The police, the NPA, have stated that they haven't received enough witness statements, and that's why they haven't proceeded with the case. But that's pretty much it. We don't get notified on anything that's happening unless the media contacts myself or my father to let us know what they found out. Otherwise, the police don't keep us updated. But yeah, as far as we know, they don't have enough witness statements. They did tell us in the month of April that the docket was completed and that the case should be going to court, but we haven't heard anything since.
Now, what kind of information do you have regarding the actual accident?
with regards to what actually happened on the scene.
Yeah.
So, to my understanding, the driver who caused the accident was driving 200 kilometers per hour on the highway. He took the exit, I think, at about 168 kilometers per hour and lost control of his vehicle, and then obviously T-boned into Simba's car, killing them on impact. Both him and Katie were killed on impact, blunt force trauma, and that's pretty much what we know of the accident. I know that there was another vehicle involved, and apparently the mother in that vehicle was also injured. But that's as far as I know. I have heard rumors that people assume that he was drunk on the scene and that there were beer bottles on the scene of the accident, but that hasn't been confirmed.
Now, you say that the police don't have enough witness statements. How many witness statements do they need?
That's what we're confused about. The accident happened so early in the morning. So it happened, I think, between 5:30 and 6 in the morning. And obviously two of them are deceased, Simba and Katie. My father, he gave his statement quite early on, I think probably in the first 2 weeks. And the other vehicle that was involved, I think there were 3 people in that car. They all gave their statements on the scene of the accident, and then obviously the driver who caused the accident is the other person. So if they've got all the statements from people who are on the scene, then that should be enough.
Is there any other information that they're waiting for?
The MPA in particular, we're unaware of. Like I've said, they haven't kept us updated at all. All they've said is they need more witnesses.
Now, what have your interactions been like with the NPA and the police who are handling the case?
Myself particularly, there's been zero interaction. I know my father, in the early stages, he was going to the police station. He gave his statement, and I think he went quite often in the first couple of weeks to see the police. That's how we found out the information about how fast the driver was on the scene and what impact he actually hit Simba and Katie at. But from then on, maybe about a month or two later, they stopped contacting us. I know that Katie's stepfather got his lawyer involved to kind of keep track of the NPA. And then I think he's just trying to keep us updated as much as he can. But I think he knows as much as we do, and I mean, as much as information we receive from the media as well.
So you really don't know what the next steps are?
No, we have no idea what we're waiting for.
Now, if you were kept more in the loop in this whole process, would that help your grieving process?
Probably. I think the confusion of what's happening, with the case, I feel like it might affect it. I try not to focus on the case, I must be honest. I just, kind of speak to my dad and ask him, does he have any new information? Because I've tried to focus all my energy on grieving my brother and his death. So, and the truth is, whatever happens with the case, it doesn't bring Simba and Katie back. But I do want to see justice done, and I do want to see things kind of moving along. And it's just left us very unsure. And I think especially for my mom, she's just kind of like, what happens now,
Would it bring closure to you and your family if this driver who was driving the other car had to stand trial?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. Yeah. I feel like he made a mistake, and he did take 2 lives because he was being irresponsible and negligent. And I think for him to stand trial and serve whatever it is he needs to serve, I think that would give us huge closure.